we are celebrating Dattatreya's birthday. And those of you who do not know about Dattatreya, he is a mythical character, or a character of a divine guru who lived in perhaps the Treta Yuga simultaneously with Rama. His life is shrouded in mystery, because he has, traditionally he is represented as one body having the three heads of Shiva, Brahma and Vishnu, which is the creator God's head, Vishnu's head, which is often represented in the middle head, and the side heads are Shiva's head and Brahma's head. This trinity represents creation, maintenance and destruction. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the maintainer, and Shiva is the dissolver. So he was one person, God or a guru or whatever we want to call, in one form, and revered, and he had great students like Parasurama was his student. And another guy, 𝗕𝗶𝗿𝗄𝗆 was another illustrious student of his, who had, 𝗕𝗶𝗿𝗄𝗆 had 1,000 hands and incredible intelligence and spiritual powers to do everything. And he was the guru of people of this stature when he was on the earth plane. His image is a symbol. Whether he had 3 heads or not, we don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe it's a symbolic representation. Maybe it's an archetype that will make sense to us, or make sense to our consciousness. So why do I care for that? Because I lived that reality. Because many years ago, I had a Nadi reading. In the Nadi reading said, which is Shiva Nadi reading, Narada, who is a wandering saint in the heavens, came to the earth plane, and then he saw me here, and then he identified me as Dattatreya. This, I think elsewhere I might have spoken about it when I just announced that I was Dattatreya, because it was based on the Nadi reading. And then I lived the reality, and I took the name, and then I also revealed the mantra Om Dhram Dattatreya 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗆 Namaha or Swaha. Om Dham Dattatreya Namaha. So it continued for some time until I became disenchanted, or just moved on. And then there was another reading that again an Nadi reading said, no, you are now Shirdi Baba. Well, that also resonated with me for some reason. Although I could not connect with him as much as I connected with Dattatreya. But then I took upon it, and then that's the time you may have all seen me dressing up like Siddhi Sai Baba with a headband on, and I can still remember I went and bought about 50 headbands, and then I was wearing which in different colors, even the Dattatreya Shiva Baba site has all that. Now I got disenchanted after a few years, and then I said that I am going into my original name as Bhaskar Pillai, and then my website was to change this to Dr. Pillai. So I have played with all these things. It's not only these 3 identities. There have been several identities. There was a Shiva identity, there was a Bhishma identity, there was a 𝗕𝗵𝗵𝗺𝘁𝗵 identity, there was a Ramalingam identity. My God, I don't know if my brain could hold all these things, but at least I thought that I would do something about it to make sense of it and also reveal that to you, and so that how you can benefit from some of the lives you have had, because you may be living like a person with meager resources, without a job, without a house, and with no identity. But then you could have been a god, or you were a king. But now, because of bad karma or whatever, you are now living like a person with no resources and miserable, without education, with bad parents, etc. So how to live the incarnations are very important that you have had. And that's why I thought that I would do this video for you. Now let us reflect on Dattatreya himself. And as I said, he is in one body with three heads, and then the other images are like a cow standing by, and often the cow is represented as 𝗕𝗵𝗿𝗄. 𝗕𝗵𝗿𝗄 is the cow in the divine realms, and that cow can give you whatever you wish for. You can go to the cow and then talk to the cow, and then the cow will give you those. And then the kings were after that cow, because the cow can give you everything. So at some point I will also talk about it. It's a very powerful archetype. And there are 4 dogs, and representing the 4 Vedas, which is the wisdom books of ancient India, which are being given in practice by Brahmin priests who chant the Vedas, and the 4 dogs are the representation. And why would I want to connect with him now, whom I have abandoned, or he abandoned me? By the way, it doesn't matter. To put it simply in human terms, I don't know. But then he has been very active now. And not only he is active, but the 𝗕𝗫 Sai-Baba is also active now. And both are one according to tradition, at least some traditions, that they say that 𝗕𝗫 Baba is only this Dattatreya Baba. But when you look at 𝗕𝗫 Sai-Baba, who lived very recently, passed away only in 1900s, early 1900s or the early end of the 1800s. Late 1800s or early 1900s, I don't remember his, but he's the recent incarnation. But when you look at these 2 guys, one is Dattatreya and the other is 𝗕𝗫 Sai-Baba. They are the opposite. Dattatreya represented the wisdom tradition, very high intellectual, higher intellectual tradition. If you want his teachings, you can go to 𝗕𝗶𝗵𝗆, in which there is a conversation between Dattatreya and Parashurama on even quantum physics. I I'm not going to complicate it to you because, but I will only, if you want, I have elsewhere talked about it. You can go and take a look at it. Dattatreya would answer questions to Parasurama like, why are my thoughts not manifesting? Your thoughts are manifesting. This is what Parasurama puts to Dattatreya. And Dattatreya says that my thoughts manifest because my thoughts are very powerful and they are without doubts, but yours are not. This is one thing, that, you can see the kind of knowledge that he had and his ability for thought manifestation. And he also talks about how can you remove karma or diffuse karma. He says time is a reality and karma is time. You cannot do anything about it. But you can do one thing. You can just change your space and change your time. So that's, so he knew the relationship between space and time. That's why I said that he also knew quantum physics. He was a physicist. He knew the continuity of and simultaneity of time and space. So this is one side of Dattatreya. And he also knew higher intelligence. He was also the tantric. He had great tantric wisdom. That's why he was in the crematorium all the time. So some tantric in his own respect of immense power, who can give a person like 𝗕𝗶𝗿𝗄𝗃 1,000 hands, and then 𝗕𝗶𝗿𝗄𝗃 was disabled when he was born. So that's the character of Dattatreya. Whereas 𝗕𝗫𝗁 Sai-Baba is, his life is in mystery too, because he suddenly appeared as a Muslim saint or a Hindu saint or both, because nobody could know whether he was Hindu or Muslim. So one day there was a problem when people debated whether he was a Muslim or a Hindu. He took off all his clothes, including his headband, and walked naked, and then called these people, you guys are fighting, the Hindus and Muslims. Now tell me, I have removed all my clothes. Am I a Muslim or a Hindu? Well, this is the kind of guy. As far as the intellectual accomplishments are concerned, they are not. If you go to his teachings, they are very, very simple. And he did not speak a lot either. But what he did was miracles. He spoke in miracles. For instance, I want a job. He said, do a simple thing. Keep my picture and do arti to my picture. Arti is showing candlelight to his picture. And he said, look to me, I will look to you. All that you have to do is just, it's very interesting. He said, make me a slave. Make me your slave. And I will tell you how you can make me your slave. And that is just do a set of certain things that remember me all the time. If you are eating your food, just give the food first to me, and then take it later, and then keep thinking about me all the time, and do this show the light. Then I will do you miracles. This is the deal. And one day he fell sick and then he died. And this incarnation was considered by most as the same incarnation as Dattatreya, although in a very simple fashion. Now, reflecting on it, because since I kind of accepted that and lived it, I make sense of it now. there was this guy, Dattatreya, an intellectual, an Einstein or even beyond. And there is this guy, Shirdi Sai Baba, who is a very simple man. And now, after he passed away, for a long time, there was another Baba, Puttaparthi Sai Baba, with a man with a curly hair, and who also became very famous. And he said that he was the reincarnation of Shirdi Sai Baba. That became a controversy because the people who followed the Shirdi Sai Baba never accepted this Shirdi Sai Baba, Puttaparthi Baba as the reincarnation. I don't want to go into that, but what is important for me and for you, since you have been listening to me and some of you are following me, is that to understand they have now become very relevant to me. And I could see beyond, although I could relate how a certain soul reincarnate as the highest intellectual, and then decide to incarnate as someone who is very, very pragmatic. You want a job? I'll give you a job. Just show me the light. Simple teaching. Similar to Jesus' teaching. Jesus said, just follow me. Accept me. Jesus said, accept me as your Savior. This is Jesus' teaching. Very simple. No philosophy, nothing. Just accept me as your Savior and then call on me and I will come and help you. The same kind of teaching that you have for Shirdi Sai Baba. It's amazing to see Shirdi Sai Baba's temples are coming up all over the world like mushrooms. Every day there is a new temple being built somewhere. So these beings are staying in another realm and they are looking at human beings who are helpless, who are without jobs, without money, without relationship, with sickness and so forth. They want, and then they come into certain souls. That's how at least I make sense of. And then those souls cooperate sometimes don't cooperate, just as I have done. But they do mean well for the human society. And that's how I make sense of that. So what I have come to now think is I could use these energies. And those of you who could relate to that, who have been benefited from that, because so many people have benefited through this mantra, Om Ram Dattatreya Webcast. Somebody said, I tripled my income doing that. I think, why not? Okay, and some people have not been able to relate to me to talk in terms of only the neocortex and the midbrain and dimethyltryptamine and transformation of the light body. So what is important is, according to your level of intelligence and level of your own understanding, you can use any of these archetypes. I call them these archetypes. So this archetype has again contacted me, and that's why I decided to do the Dattatreya Jayanti, which is the birthday of Dattatreya. And then a lot of new understandings about who he was and what he was doing, and are all coming to me, and so let's see where we go from there. I wanted to share all these things with you so that you can also reflect on this. Maybe you were with Dattatreya in one of your incarnations. Or maybe you were with Sriti Sai Baba, don't know. Or maybe in one of the other innumerable incarnations I have had. But one thing I am very sure, that of all the incarnations I have had, and this incarnation is very important, the current incarnation, because we are living in a time there is science, there is technology, and that adds to the mystical understandings of the ancient seers. So when you put both of them together, then we can create what Einstein dreamed about. Einstein dreamed about science and religion coming together. Because science is blind, religion is blind, and science is lame. That's what he said. Because scientists are very egocentric and very proud of their understandings. So are the religious people. They keep religion and science separate. But when we can bring them together, then we have practical, scientific, technological knowledge as well as mystical understandings, miracles of Dattatreya and miracles of Sai Baba. So that is my message for the Dattatreya Jayanti. So I don't know as of now how it would turn to be in the future, because I just want to live in the now. I don't care one way or the other, but what I care is to create a human society without diseases, without pain, without disappointments, because we as a race have had enough. So if, for instance, if there is a crab apple, the apple is not tasting good, we cut that apple tree and throw that away and then plant a new one. We cannot do this for the human beings here. We cannot kill human beings with bad karma or bad genes. So we have to find another way of doing that, and I am very committed to the process of changing the human race. And we as a race do need a better life, a better body. If at all we should keep this body, it should be a better body, a light body, and no pain, and no suffering, and all happiness and total identity with the divine. God bless.